Okay, today we were playing a game on Oasis. We were playing Tracer the entire way through, and even though we were a diamond player in this game, we were 5-stacking with a bunch of friends, so we're actually in the Platinum SR range today. And our current team composition is Winston, Roadhog, Tracer, Pharah, Mercy, and Lucio. So it's about as standard as they come. Roadhog has just been nerfed, so I don't really like Roadhog anymore. I'd rather he was playing D.Va or Zarya, but other than that, it's about as average as they come. So we are in a 5-stack this game. I can't really comment on the communication because I don't speak this language that we speak in this game. It doesn't really seem like much communication actually happens, but I don't know. I don't speak this language. So, let's start the game. So we're going to come around this side right at the start. We're going to run into a Reaper who has a similar thought to us, it seems. Do be careful about, like, getting as close to the Reaper as you do right there. Tracer is good at fighting Reaper, but that's because we have slightly better range than Reaper does. And, like, we get really close to him right there. And, like, Reaper can one-shot us, so you want to be careful about getting close to him in general. He's really low HP right now, though. He comes in here by himself. We just run him down. He's dead now. Great. Awesome. So, we are going to try and bully around this Orisa now. Now we're behind the enemy team. We have run out of blinks doing this, and now Roadhog's coming to get us, which is a little spooky. Fairly nitpicky, and, like, doesn't really come up that much during this game, but, like, don't look where you're blinking, because you shouldn't need to, really. And you're in Diamond SR, so it gets more nitpicky at this point, but, like, you shouldn't need to look where you're blinking. You should be able to, like, blink backwards onto health packs and around corners without looking anymore. So try not to do that. So now we're healthy again, we're coming back around. I wouldn't use that blink, because you're a little bit low on resources right now, because that bottoms you out of blinks. You don't want to be completely out of blinks unless it's an emergency and you're using all your blinks to run away from something. So you blink around this corner and there's like a period where you have no blinks, which is kind of spooky. So I would just like walk around the corner and wait for the other blink to charge up instead, because then you have more to work with basically. So we're fighting Roadhog right here. We get dropped low, so we use Recall. Roadhog's like disappeared around this corner and he's gotten away from us, so we decide we're just going to bully around the Orisa. We throw the Pulse Bomb on the Orisa right as she uses her shift, so it ends up not actually killing anyone, which is very unfortunate. I mean, you don't really want to stick tanks, generally speaking, because the Pulse Bomb doesn't actually kill any of them. No, I lied to you. Okay, so Pulse Bomb does 400 damage, but armor reduces damage taken by 5. Technically, it reduces it by half with a cap of 5. So, the only tank it straight up kills is Zarya, because she has 400 HP and no armor. So, generally throwing it on tanks is a bad idea, because it just doesn't actually straight up kill any of them. Even if Orisa doesn't shift, she survives with 5 HP. And if the healers are paying attention, they'll start healing the tank, because they see the Pulse Bomb on them. So, generally don't want to stick tanks, unless you know that you or your team can do enough follow-up damage to actually kill them. It is unfortunate timing with the Orisa, but we stick tanks quite a few times during this game, so... we didn't kill the Orisa, which is very unfortunate. We're now very low. We've backed up. Now we're, like, fighting a lot of things that are kind of awkward for us to fight, so... We end up blinking right into Reaper, which is really bad. I'm not really sure why we blink forward in this situation anyway, I guess to get behind Genji. But it ends up just putting us really far forward and with no blinks again. And again, we don't want to be completely out of blinks unless it's an emergency. And really we should just be trying to help the Mercy with that Genji. Even though Tracer's not very good at fighting Genji, Mercy's almost dead, so we should be trying to help her. So I'm not really sure why we blink more forwards unless it's to get behind the Genji. And then we just end up getting killed by the Reaper. We still don't want to blink forward because we end up being completely out of blinks at that point, which is kind of spooky. You don't want to be out of blinks unless it's an emergency. Even if you have recall as well, like, you just don't want to be completely out of blinks, because then you're not really Tracer anymore at that point. So we've ended up, we've come down here and found Lucio bullying around the Ana. We saw Roadhog ducked around the corner. We can run after them a little bit now because Roadhog's hook is down. So now he's got Ana with him. This is really scary because of the way we're coming at the Ana. Because we're coming at Ana in such a confined location. She's just used her grenade, so there's no fear of her using that on us. but we're coming at her in such a confined location that it's actually really easy for her to hit us right now. And again, we've blinked forward and we've completely run out of blinks as we're going forward again. So we just get fucked right there. It's risky to fight Ana in a confined location because it becomes a lot easier to hit you with the grenade, which was down, but it gets easier to hit you with the grenade and the trank if you're in a confined location. So, don't really want to fight Ana in a hallway like that because it is easier to hit you. Also, Roadhog's hook would be getting close to being off cooldown at that point as well, and it's easy for Roadhog to hook you in a confined location as well as just shoot you. So, it's a little spooky at that point. We think we overchase him a little bit. So we can see Reaper is around this corner, and we're just sort of trying to harass him. He's coming at us right now, drop really low, recall back up. Oh shit, Dragon Blade's over there, don't really want any part of that either. So we come over here, we stick the Orisa. Again, she uses her shift. This one we shouldn't really be taken by surprise, because she's not been in combat up until this point. Like, she's just been sitting way back here, not doing anything. So her shift is almost certainly off cooldown right now. So you can't throw your Pulse Bomb at her until you see her use her shift, because otherwise you're going to end up wasting the Pulse Bomb as we do right here. When we did this before, she was in combat, so it's just kind of like you take the guess of whether or not you think she's used it. Here, there's no way she's used it, so you can't throw the Pulse Bomb at her until you see her use it, because you'll end up wasting the Pulse Bomb, as we do. Because, yeah, reducing the damage by half suddenly makes it quite difficult to actually kill Orisa as Tracer, because Pulse Bomb is pretty important for killing a high HP target. So, now, we're coming back around again. We now have a Reinhardt. I'm not really super into that, but the enemy team does have an Orisa, so I guess, you know. Got booped off right there. Didn't have to use recall to get back on the ledge. Feels good, man. We're now in the back line. We're back here again, trying to bully around their tanks. We should be more actively trying to find their supports. Well, by their supports, I mean their Ana, because their other support is a Lucio, who is hard to kill as Tracer. We should be more actively trying to find Ana and kill her, because she's more of a priority. This is very sad. This is very, very sad. Was our recall off cooldown? Or did it come off right as we died? Feels bad, man. The second we die, it came off cooldown. So we should be more actively trying to fight Ana, because we spent a lot of time, like, fighting tanks, really. Which, I mean, is a lot of free ult. Like, there are two tanks that are not very threatening to us, so it's a lot of free ult charge. But we should be more actively trying to find people we can actually kill, which is, like, Ana in this case. Reaper's pretty easy for us to kill. Lucio's pretty easy to kill if you're good at tracking. That's the caveat. You have to be really good at tracking, otherwise it ends up being really difficult to kill Lucio as Tracer. Because we've actually only gotten one elimination that entire round, and the entire point of Tracer is to get a lot of kills and apply a lot of pressure. We didn't get a lot of kills, and we weren't really applying a lot of pressure either, because we kept getting killed, basically. So, that didn't go very well. Our team has changed around a little bit. Now we've got Hand Soap and D.Va instead of Roadhog. I still don't really want the Reinhardt. I'd rather Reinhardt was playing Winston. And I'd rather Hanzo was playing most other heroes, really. But Hanzo is fine if you can play Hanzo. So, we are now on Garden. Right, I don't know why I always have so much trouble remembering this map's name. So we're now on Garden, we're going around the left-hand side, trying to get behind them. No one came around this way, so we aren't behind anyone, which is unfortunate. So, here comes Reaper. We're still good at fighting Reaper, got dropped low, used recall. Again, we keep, like, bottoming ourselves out of blinks while we're moving around the map, which we don't really want to do. Right there, we even bottom ourselves out of blinks while and again, we've bottomed ourselves out of blinks while recall is on cooldown, which is very, very scary and very dangerous. Unless it's an emergency, we want to try and always have one blink in reserve, at least. So, well, I say at least, you'll usually only have one, but you always want to have one in reserve. You don't want to ever be completely out. Even if you have recall up, you don't really want to be completely out of blinks. So here's Zarya. Zarya's pretty easy for us to bully around. We end up not being able to bully around the Zarya quite enough, and her team collapses on us and kills us right before recall comes up. Again, we end up running out of blinks as we're chasing the person down here. You have to be very careful when you're blinking forward that you think you can get out, or that you have recall up, because otherwise if you get collapsed on like that, you very suddenly die. Again, we chase forward, we end up being out of blinks, and recall is down, and then when they collapse on us, we've got no options, and we don't even manage to kill the Zarya either. So, resource management is standing out to me as, like, the biggest issue this game so far. So we stick the Zarya, Zarya's shift is down, so Zarya dies, and then we can finish off the Ana. Great, awesome. There's still a fight happening over here. It's Genji. Genji's low. He's the only person here as well, so we might as well help kill him, because there's nothing better for us to do right now. So, we've gotten control of the point, which is good. We did see very briefly there that they've got a very... So now they only have Lucio, actually. So now we should be trying to focus Lucio, even though Lucio is actually quite difficult to kill as Tracer unless you're really good at tracking. You should now be focusing the Lucio very hard, because Lucio is their only healer. So if you can kill the Lucio, or at least occupy a lot of the Lucio's time, that applies a lot of pressure and makes it really hard for their team to actually do anything. So even though Lucio is hard for us to kill, he's the only healer, so he's actually a very high priority right now. Unless you're really good at tracking, and then Lucio is still pretty easy to kill. But it's kind of hard to know based off one game. I'm really bad at tracking, so I'm not going to kill no Lucios as Tracer. But I also wouldn't be playing Tracer, really. But so they're getting back onto the point right now. Here's Lucio. We do want to focus Lucio, because he's their only healer. He's got Discord Orb on him as well, but he's being a bit of a pain right now. He is now dead. So their only healer is dead. Most of the rest of their team is dead. Was that their Winston that went over that way, or was that our Winston? Okay, that's their Winston. Genji's really hard to kill as Tracer because he's a very small hitbox and very squirrely. Rather than trying to kill the Genji, I would be going after the Winston instead, because Winston is really, really easy to kill as Tracer, actually, when Tracer has better range than Winston, and the entire front of Winston's model is his head, so he's actually very easy to kill as Tracer. People are like, Winston counters Tracer. Yes, but not because the Winston can actually fight the Tracer. Straight up fighting, Tracer will win the fight like 9 times out of 10. But, well, probably 10 times out of 10, honestly. You know, don't even be conservative. The reason that Winston actually counters Tracer is because he can zone Tracer off of his backline. So if you get the opportunity to go and fight a Winston, go fight a Winston. It's like a free kill / ult charge, unless, like, he's got people to help him, basically. So, we've got Pulse Bomb built up right now, and we've got a pretty obvious opportunity lined up right here, but we're a little bit too tentative at it. We just, like, lob it from really far away. Now, you want to get, like... Tracer's got the worst throw in the fucking universe. You ever seen Tracer, like, try to throw a Pulse Bomb? Watch how Tracer throws a bomb. It's like, just weakest throw in the universe. We don't want to really ever throw it at people. We want to get, like, in their face and just, like, push it onto their body, basically, because the lob from really far away almost never works out because Tracer's got an awful throwing arm. If she worked on her pitch, right, she'd be awesome. Imagine if she had a super good pitching arm and you could just stand, like, on the opposite end and just, like, pitch it to the other side. Imagine how scary Tracer would be. Oh, but no, she got this weak underarm fucking lob business going on. So we don't want to throw it at people from really far away. That's really optimistic. We want to get, like, as into them as possible and just, like, push it right onto their face, because it's much easier to hit at that point, basically. So, this is very unfortunate for them. Unfortunate we also didn't have our Pulse Bomb to use right there, because that was a pretty obvious opportunity, but... So they have 2 healers again now. Somebody on their team has changed back to Ana, so now... Lucio, less of a priority because now there's another healer as well. Ana, always a very high priority because she's a very strong healer. She is, however, very annoying because she's actually pretty good at fending off flankers, which I feel like she should not be allowed to do, really. Because you just wait till the flanker's right next to you, just, like, put the grenade on the ground. The flanker has lost half their HP, or 2/3 of their HP, if you're Tracer, and... Then, like, Ana heals up, the flanker has to stop fighting. If she tranks you, you just fucking die. So, I feel like the trade-off for being a sniping healer should be that you're really easy to flank, because that should be the weakness of snipers, as far as I'm concerned. This is also kind of a thing with, like, Widowmaker, where she isn't actually that weak to flankers, because she can just kind of get away. This was more of an issue before Widowmaker got a few nerfs, and when because she was actually really, like, overpowered during the first few months of Overwatch, provided you were good at Widowmaker. But it really was for a while, like, whichever team has the better Widowmaker is the team that wins. That wouldn't work now, though, seeing as the team comps are mostly dive comps at this point. But I feel like the weakness of Ana should be that she's really weak to flankers. No, she's actually really good at fending off flankers, which just doesn't seem okay to me. But, whatever. So we are now on City Center. And we're going to go around the left-hand side. Our team's going to go off that way. Now our team's coming back over this way. This is the way we want to go. Excuse me, Jesus Christ. So, we do want to get control of the grav lift if possible, which our team has now come over here to do. We aren't actually very good at standing up here because we don't actually have very many long-range fighters, so, but we do at least want them to not have control of it if nothing else. So, our Hanzo's gone off somewhere and died. We're after their Winston. We've sort of lost track of the Winston in the middle of all the shuffle right there. What happened exactly? Where did he go? I heard him jump, so he jumped off somewhere. Anyway, we lose track of the Winston, which is unfortunate. Now there's a lot of people right where we don't want to be here. Like, right now, priority 1 is, like, get out of that situation because we're in the middle of, like, 5 people. And they could all kill us quite quickly. So we're back over here now. So we've also lost our D.Va, so at this point the fight is going pretty badly, and honestly we should just be backing out because we're missing one of our DPS and one of our tanks. They are currently missing nothing, and they are now collapsing on our Reinhardt, and our options for helping Reinhardt are very limited, seeing as we are only Tracer. There's their Tracer, we recall back to full HP. We are getting into a bit of a fight with the Tracer, which we don't really want to do, because there are certain matchups in this game that are just not really worth dealing with. Tracer versus Tracer, Tracer versus Genji, Genji versus Genji. Kind of not much better for us to have been doing at the time, I guess, though, so we now have Pulse Bomb. They now have a Mercy and a Lucio, so Mercy is very high priority, and she's much easier to kill than Ana is, so this is actually makes things a lot simpler for us, because their team is actually not that scary to us, really, because Tracer, we just don't really want to fight. Lucio is annoying, but, like, not threatening, right? He's just annoying. Reaper is only threatening if we fuck up and get really close to him, otherwise we beat him. Roadhog, if he hooks us, is scary, but he might not actually kill us anymore anyway, either. Winston, he doesn't kill us. So if we can get on the Mercy, there's not actually that much that's scary for us, so Mercy should actually be very easy for us to kill, and we should be trying to focus the Mercy as much as possible, and try to find the Mercy, because it should be pretty free, honestly. So right there, we stick the Winston. We don't actually manage to seal the deal on the Winston again. Again, when you stick a tank, you have to be certain that you can do follow-up damage to him, or that your team can do follow-up damage to him, because otherwise he's just not gonna die. Like, we stick it to the Winston. The Winston has not actually been that damaged yet. He's probably got like 460 HP. So, he ends up living, and then we can't get to him, and he just heals back up to full HP. You've got to be certain that you can do the last bit of damage if you're going to stick a tank, or that your team is going to do the last bit of damage. So D.Va's currently being collapsed on right here. We don't really want to get involved in, like, the whole melee situation going on over there. We are also positioning ourselves right next to a cliff right now while Recall is off on cooldown, which is very scary, because they do have a Lucio. And we're right next to this edge. There's Lucio. Our Recall's still on cooldown, so that's pretty scary. We should basically be trying to find a Mercy while this is happening, because this melee is like, oh god, that's mad scary. We don't want anything to do with that, so we want to try and find people on the edge. We blink around this side, we don't find Mercy. We actually saw Mercy's silhouette very briefly through the wall. But now our team is just, like, losing this fight, so really we should just be trying to get out, because most of our team is actually dead. We finally found the Mercy, but now, like, it's too late, basically. The rest of our team is dead, so we just want to be trying to get out. Don't go, like, that way. I know what you want to try and do. You want to try and get to that health kit, but you are not going to make it to that health kit. You're better off going back and hoping one of your supports can heal you instead, because you're not going to make it to that health kit with the Tracer after you. So, we do at least have most of a Pulse Bomb built up again, which is good. We have more ultimates, but I didn't quite catch who they were attached to. I think Reinhardt had his ultimate, which is not very helpful, really, because the enemy team is kind of awkward to Earth Shatter. Reinhardt also in general, not a very good hero right now. Don't really like that he's playing Reinhardt. Oh, it makes me so sad to say. God damn it. Please, fix. Please. So, I'm not really sure what the plan is with that Pulse Bomb. Initially, I feel like the plan is try and stick Roadhog, which is not a great plan in and of itself. But then it's kind of just like, I think we were trying to stick it on him and then we missed, but I don't know if we were just trying to like quickly realign it back on Reaper. But that's not a very good use of your Pulse Bomb, either way, as far as I'm concerned. Like, we should really be trying to find squishies to stick it to. Like, we should be trying to stick it to, like, the Ana, the Mercy, the Lucio, if possible. Sticking tanks is generally the lowest priority. Sometimes it's the play, but I find more often than not you're better off just looking for the squishies, really, to use it on. So, we've killed their Mercy. She only res one person, not the end of the world. We've almost got another Pulse Bomb built up already, which is good. This is a situation where I just throw it in there and stick it on whoever possible. Reaper, I say whoever possible, but then I'm like not really Reaper, because Wraith form kind of fucks you, as it does right there. Rather than aim for Reaper, I aim for like these other people over here, because we don't know if Reaper's Wraith form is up or not. Turns out it's up. And it's he's one of those heroes where you've got to be pretty certain his escape is down before you stick him. So, aim more for these people, because why am I fucking pointing with the cursor instead of drawing? Like, aim for these people. Like, really want to get Lucio or Winston in this case, because Tracer can also recall it, so we want to really get, like, the people that can't get it off them, if possible. And just killing, like, somebody is pretty important right now. Reaper just Wraith forms it, which is sad. We're low HP, recall's down, we gotta back out. We've healed back up, recall's almost back up, now we're just, oh, that's spooky, don't want anything to do with that. So, things are not looking great. Mercy comes in and reses everybody, but misses Reinhardt, which is unfortunate. We see Mercy's tether, we readjust the Mercy. Did we really need to recall right there? How low did we go? Did we... Yeah, okay, yeah, 83 is probably the point where you just want to recall, really. Because I think, like, we want to kill the Mercy, so, like, you could argue you don't want to recall right there, because we're more interested in killing the Mercy as quickly as possible, and we had a pretty good opportunity. But when you're below 100 hit points, you do generally just want to recall, so, you know. So, I'm not really against sticking the Roadhog in that situation, because he would definitely die, and Mercy doesn't have a res back up yet. We just miss. We just flat out miss, which feels bad, man. So, right now is a bunch of things that are really awkward for us to do. Until the Reaper gets on the scene, basically we want to, like, Lucio and other Tracer are too hard to hit, so we basically just want to farm up on the Winston as much as possible, because the other two people are too hard to hit. Reaper, we actually stand a chance to kill, so we do want to try and focus the Reaper. We do get really close in his face again, right there, though, which we have to be careful of doing, because, we're in one-shot range at that point, especially since we weren't full HP. The reason we beat Reaper is that we have longer range than him, so you have to be careful about getting close to him. We almost have Pulse Bomb built up again. We just straight up miss again, which is unfortunate. Sticking it to the Lucio or the Winston would have been pretty good in that situation, but we miss. Happens. Feels bad, man. It's okay, though. Like, they've got so many ult batteries for us right now. Like, look at that. We've just been bullying Roadhog for a little while, and we've got 70% built up again. Isn't it fantastic? Tracer. So, here's Mercy. Mercy's clearly going in to res somebody, but we didn't stop her in time. We are currently out of resources, so this is very scary for us. We're just going to reposition around the side. Reaper's ulting again. This is one of those very textbook. We stuck the Mercy. She almost dragged it into other people as well. I'm trying to think of the correct way to say that sentence. You know, whatever. She almost dragged it into other people. That is the correct way to say it, I'm pretty sure. The English language is fucking hard, man. But you're from England. You should know how to speak English. Yeah, if only English wasn't, like, basically a mugged language. Like, we took German, Spanish, and some French, and we just, like, took them, and then we just, like, beat them up and took their vocabulary from them, and that's how the English language was formed. It's a stupid fucking language. So that didn't work out for us right there. I mean, when you're playing Tracer, there is always the opportunity to, like, hard carry a game by just, like, being a god, basically. but I feel like there's a lot of issues with our team. Like, basically, I feel like Reinhardt's been doing basically nothing because he's just not good against their team in general, really. He's also not very good on King of the Hill, and he's not a very good hero right now in general, so I feel like Reinhardt is not really doing very much. Doesn't really feel like Hanzo's doing very much. I do feel like the things that we're not doing is, we're not managing our resources very well still. And, we're not focusing supports as much as we could be. Like, we spend a lot of time farming tanks, but it doesn't seem like we're very actively looking for the backline that we're trying to, like, kill as much as possible, really. Because the whole point of Tracer is to kill as many people as possible, basically. If you're not getting a lot of kills as Tracer, you're just not really playing Tracer well at that point. So, whole enemy team has, like, come up this way right at the start, and we've had to use recall, so we just want to get out as quickly as possible, because we were almost out of resources. Big scuffle's broken out up there. We've lost both of our supports, and D.Va's lost her mech. We're gonna lose this fight. We don't want to be fighting anymore. We should just back out and regroup, really. We get to kill this Winston, which is cool and all, and then we end up, misaligning our blink right there. Again, try not to look where you're blinking, because I did notice us doing it right there. Like, you shouldn't need to look where you're blinking, really. You should be able to, you should know the map well enough that you can navigate it backwards, basically. It seems very nitpicky, but, like, you're in Diamond SR, so this is the sort of thing that starts to matter. You shouldn't need to look where you're blinking. You should be able to navigate the map blind, basically. I mean, not blind, but you know what I mean. So, once we lost both of our supports and D.Va lost her mech, really we just want to back out. Like, we don't want to be fighting anymore, because once you've lost both of your supports, you're gonna lose the fight. Like, barring incredibly exceptional circumstances, you're gonna lose the fight. We've lost our Zenyatta again immediately, which is not very good. We have got some spirited banter happening in the text chat, as you might have noticed, which is also doing some very interesting, like, blinking up and down. I think that's because I've noticed the game is trying to adjust to us playing on mouse and keyboard and controller a few times, so I think that's why it's freaking out over there. But it's very unusual. So, there was actually a pretty decent Earth Shatter over there, but unfortunately the timing for the Earth Shatter was very poor because not many of our team were actually nearby to position it. That right there is just a panic pulse bomb, it looks like. Don't do that. Usually when you panic ult, it's not a very good ultimate. And it wasn't a very good ultimate. Even if it killed, like, 1 or 2 people, again, most of our team wasn't actually there right then, so we wouldn't have been able to capitalize on it. But we're actually managing to sort of swing it back around right now. We are out of resources right now, so we don't really want to be, like, actively engaging in this fight. Like, we just keep bottoming ourselves out of blinks over and over and over again. So, like, after we recall right here, this has all been fine. This has been, like, we've been killing people, so that's good. But, like, now our recall is down, and we're out of blinks, right? But we've got them back a little bit too far. We're out of blinks, and, well, we've got 1 blink, and our recall is down. Now we're out of blinks. We just sit over here, because also we don't need to, like, go into these people right now, because, like, that's kind of scary anyway. Like, we're not great at, like, killing a Tracer, and it's kind of scary to just, like, blink into a tank at low HP with no resources. So we really just want to, like, wait over here for a little while until we have recovered some of our resources, because if we just keep blinking around, like, the second our blink comes up, we're just, like, continually playing, like, a hobbled Tracer, because we're always waiting for the blink to come off of cooldown to do anything, when you always want to be able to do something, right? Like, the whole point of Tracer is mobility. So if you're sitting around always thinking, God, I'm out of blinks, you just back out and wait for some of your blinks to regenerate, because we're just blinking on cooldown, which is just, like, not really playing Tracer at that point, because you don't have enough resources. So Winston's doing this, which is, I mean, very annoying, but, like, not overly concerning, and he's just gone to the moon. He's gone home, I suppose, in that case. And we have managed to get control of the point. Great. We also have, finally Hanzo's playing McCree, which is better. Especially against that team, which is a lot of flankers. So, we also have Resurrect and Self-Destruct built up, so Self-Destruct is not a very good ultimate, but Resurrect and Pulse Bomb are very good ultimates, so that's pretty good. You know, again, it just doesn't seem like much talking is happening, but I've also seen our face popping up a few times, and I can't hear what we're saying, so I don't know. So this is fair enough. We missed the pin. Because I'm looking at Reinhardt killing people with charge. We missed the pulse bomb, which is unfortunate. What I will say is, this would be easier to do if we're behind the enemy team, because rather than trying to do it from, front in, we could, reposition around the backside of them quickly, and then try to stick it just directly on their backline, instead of having to blink through their front line to stick it on them, and we end up missing. But, I mean, the attempt is fair enough. If we stuck it on somebody, or at least, it landed in the room, rather than throwing out the doorway, it would have probably killed a couple of people, so, unfortunate that we missed, basically. Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's generally unfortunate when you miss. So we are currently out of resources again right now. Our recall has come back up off the cooldown, though. Again, this is very scary what we're doing, because we do end up getting very close to the Reaper again. And we can get one shot by Reaper. We just, press up really close to the Reaper. We don't even actually die to him, but it's still really scary to push up against Reaper, because he can one-shot you if he gets a good meat shot in. So we don't want to do that. We're good at fighting Reaper because we can fight him from further away. Not much further away, but we do have better range than Reaper. So we almost have Pulse Bomb built up again, because Pulse Bomb is that kind of ultimate. That was a very loud sneeze right there. So we still have Resurrect, and now we have Pulse Bomb again. So that's cool. We come up and we miss it. Unfortunate. It would have killed her in that situation regardless of her shift, I think, because Discord was also on her. It's just unfortunate we missed it. I think that one would have been fair enough to do, because that would be a very awkward time for the Orisa to die, right as her team is actually recollecting. So Winston's over here. We're trying to kill the Winston. We don't kill the Winston. Now there's a lot of people on the scene suddenly. We're trying to focus the Mercy down. Again, we've got, no blinks built up, so we're just constantly trying to chase after these people with no blinks, which is very awkward. Now our recall is also down, so we don't really want to be fighting anymore, because we're currently out of resources. And this map is easy to get away, because you can just jump in the hole in the middle if you run out of resources and just, disappear around corners. If your recall is down and you've got no blinks, well, even if you have blinks, if your recall is down, you generally have to start playing a lot more carefully, because if you don't have your recall, risk of suddenly dying is very high. Recall is a pretty important ability. So we are coming back in right now. We have just managed to build up Pulse Bomb again, so we're looking to use that. We miss it on the Winston. I wouldn't try and stick the Winston. I would be looking to stick it to a squishy person, because Tracer just tried to stick it to us, which is definitely not the correct play right there. But I'm not looking to stick it on the Winston right there. I'm looking to stick it onto the squishies, because they're just more important. And they've got a Zenyatta right now, who is really easy to stick. And maybe he uses Transcendence, but if you can force a Zenyatta to use a Transcendence... here's the thing. Some Tracer players are afraid to stick a Zenyatta, because it's what if he uses Transcendence? If you force the Zenyatta to use Transcendence because you stuck him, you still win that trade, because you built up Pulse Bomb really, really quickly, whereas Transcendence is still reasonably quick, but you're gonna build another Pulse Bomb before he builds up another Transcendence. And the reason to play Zenyatta is 50% Discord Orb, 50% Transcendence, because Transcendence is a pretty strong ultimate, just completely nulls out other people's ultimates. If you can force him to use it at an inopportune time for only a Pulse Bomb, that's a good trade. So I'm looking to stick the Mercy or the Zenyatta in this case, and even if Zenyatta uses Transcendence, I take it as a win, because I made him use it when he didn't want to. So, the quality on the video has suddenly just tanked into the ground because I guess somebody's downloading porn somewhere in the house, which is fair enough. So, we are currently trying to shoot this mess of pixels that is Zenyatta. We have killed the mess of pixels that is Zenyatta. So, here's the thing with the fight that we're having right now, right? Your team doesn't need you to help kill Tracer. You don't actually bring very much to helping kill Tracer because it's very awkward for you. It's awkward to kill Tracer as Tracer. But, right, their Mercy is currently dead. Their Mercy definitely has res at this point. You should be going to find Mercy, because Mercy is going to be on her way back, and you don't want Mercy to get back to the fight with res, because that's really sad if she gets back. Oh, look, oh, she almost got back to res those people, but didn't quite. If your team doesn't need you on the point, because, like, it's like a Genji on the point or a Tracer on the point, and, like, you don't necessarily bring that much to killing that person, and, like, if you think your team can handle whatever's on the point without you, go and fuck with the people that are trying to get back to the point, because they're gonna be really easy to kill as well, because don't forget, they can't stop and fight you. They're trying to get back to the point because it's in overtime. So if there's a Mercy, she just has to keep running past you and, like, try to shoot at you. She can't stop, right? So it's actually pretty easy to kill the people reinforcing. And, like, as Tracer, that's, like, what you should go and do. Right now, we do gonna try and kind of help with this situation. Now we don't need to help with this situation anymore, right? Because now Winston and Reaper are dead. It's just Orisa. Orisa can't defend herself against these people. You should go and fuck with the people that are trying to get back instead. It's Tracer. We got Trank right there. Feels bad, man. Again, Tracer isn't really easy for us to kill. This is just Ana jumping around on the point. We should be going to get the Mercy, because the Mercy still has res, and she's gonna be coming back. Oh, look, here's Mercy. She reses 3 people, and we actually lose the round because of this as well, which you might have been able to tell from when you've seen the timeline. It doesn't actually work out. If your team doesn't need you on the point, go fuck with the people who are reinforcing, because you're really good at fucking with those people. If it turns out you're needed back on the point, you can get back to the point quickly because you're playing Tracer. And, yeah, you don't want Mercy to get back and res the team when they die. And basically they get too much momentum off of that res, and they end up wiping us. And we end up losing the game, which feels bad, man. Obviously, losing generally doesn't feel very good. This doesn't have the play in the game in it. Does it? It might just. Or we can see Reaper got it. Oh, right, Reaper did get like 5 or 6 people. Didn't got like 4 or 5, actually, early on. We don't see it. I think we can infer roughly what happened with the Reaper play of the game. So, biggest things that stand out, we don't manage our resources very quickly. We're continually blinking around with no blinks. A few times we also have no recall at the time as well, which is very spooky. If you always want to have a blink, you don't want to blink forward in that for you to be your last blink. You always want to have a blink in reserve at all times, especially if recall is not up. Like, if recall is not up, you generally have to play a lot more careful in general, just because if you don't have recall, risk of suddenly dying jumps up quite high. So, try not to be out of blinks. Try to play more cautiously when recall is on cooldown. Try to, like, more actively find the supports, because there are times we could be, like, trying to bully those around. Like, we spend a lot of time farming up the tanks, which, I mean, is fair enough, but you really only want to be doing that if there's nothing better for you to be doing. Because, like, the outline is, like, try and kill support. Can I kill support? No. Okay, try and find, like, a DPS that I can kill. Is there a DPS I can kill? If no, bully a tank to build up ult charge. So, like, you always want to prioritize killing somebody over just farming the tanks, if possible, because the whole point of playing Tracer is applying a lot of pressure to the backline and killing supports. So, if you're bullying a tank, that's fine, but you want to make sure there's nothing better you could be doing in the same time. So, like, look for the supports. If you can't get to the support at the time, then go, like, try and kill a DPS. If you can't do that, then go farm a tank, because that's the best use of your time at that point. And those were, like, the biggest things. Like, try not to, like, when you're try not to ult tanks, if possible, because, like, you need to be able to do more damage to them to actually kill them. Prioritize sticking squishies, because if you can just, like, stick it on a support, you'll kill the support, and maybe the other support as well, because they tend to be quite close together, or, like, near another DPS, so you might kill 2 people as well. Whereas if you kill a tank, there's always the risk you don't kill the tank. Especially if it is someone like Orisa, who can suddenly just, like, reduce the damage on Pulse Bomb massively. So yeah, and, like, you know, don't miss, like, obviously, and, like, we, like, try not to, like, lob the grenade from really far away, try not to do it in a panic, just try to, like, get in the person's face and, like, stick it right on the Ana's face, and it's much easier to hit. Also, even if you're like, get right on somebody, and even if you miss and, like, throw it on the ground, it's still on the ground close to them. They still have to actually move away from it to dodge it, so, whereas if you do the, like, lob from far away, well, who knows, right? At that point, it's just like, let fate deal with it. We don't want to let fate deal with it. Fate's a cruel mistress. So those are the biggest things that stood out to me in this game. Thank you very much for watching if you did. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer, and I hope you found the video helpful.